All right, everyone, and we are back. This is episode 4 of the IoMT show. I'm Charlie Lawrence, your host here, with a very special guest today. It's Andrea Wilson Woods. She is the CEO and founder of Cancer U University. It's a healthcare platform that helps kind of educate people that have gone through cancer and kind of their journey through recovery. So with further ado, Andrea Wilson Woods, thank you so much for coming on. What's going on in your world right now? How you been?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I am the co-founder, so I'm not the only founder. Yeah, and
Gotcha.
it is Cancer University, but we do call it Cancer U. It's a online membership platform for cancer patients and caregivers to educate, empower, and engage them to become advocates for their cancer care to improve outcomes and reduce cost.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. So kind of dive into your background. How did you kind of get into, develop to get to your point where you are now with Cancer U?
Yeah, so my cancer story goes back many years. When I was 22 years old, I was living in Los Angeles. I had graduated from USC, and I ended up getting custody of my then 8-year-old sister, Adrian. And I raised her all through my 20s until one day, 1 month after her 15th birthday, she was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer. Very unexpectedly, the day before she was fine, next day, we're in the ER and she's in pain. And that was day 1 of my sister's 147-day battle with liver cancer. She did not survive. That was 19 years ago. The following year, I turned 30 years old, and just life as I knew it changed. And I founded Blue Fairy, the Adrian Wilson Liver Cancer Association. And that nonprofit is specifically focused on hepatocellular carcinoma. And that's what led me to Cancer U. So 2 years ago, I co-founded Cancer U, which is a for-profit social benefit health tech startup.
Awesome. I love it. So how's that been these first, couple years with your goal with Cancer U? How's it been going?
Well, I think one positive thing that's come out of COVID is the adaptation of telehealth by both providers and patients. People are becoming more comfortable with speaking with their healthcare providers, whether it's by telephone or teleconference or Zoom. So that's a big plus. A big minus is that we were set to launch a pilot program with a major NCI center in March, and that has gotten pushed until January of 2021. So that part of it's been a little bit frustrating, but it is really great to just see people embrace technology and how much it can improve their healthcare.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I love it. I mean, obviously being in the healthcare IT space, you talk a lot about almost daily about kind of where telehealth is and how it's growing, and honestly how COVID has kind of expedited the process.
Oh yeah, 5
Definitely.
years at
So
least, right? I mean,
yeah, 5 to 10. I was talking to a gentleman later last week, and he was saying, Charlie, this is just exponentially, like, the curve was, trending up this way. He's like, it was a steep, drastic shoot up. So
yeah.
that's something that we have really, really seen in our space. So kind of going back to Cancer University. So obviously you're helping your patients, which is fantastic. What's really the biggest kind of problem that you're really solving with them, and what it's,
Yeah.
what would you say is your biggest kind of asset to them at Cancer U?
Yeah, so the problem that I discovered through my nonprofit really was that most people are just not natural advocates for their healthcare. They don't know how to do it. So, for example, my nonprofit gives free educational materials to patients and caregivers, but information alone is not enough. Patients and caregivers still have so many questions, and I have been coaching patients and caregivers pro bono for years. And it really is the difference between giving someone a fish and teaching them how to fish. And you can teach people how to become advocates. And at Cancer U, we believe there are 3 key ingredients. We educate through courses, we empower through coaching, and we engage through community. So Cancer U is designed just like an online university. You start with orientation. You go to your major courses, which are based on you or your loved one's type of cancer. We have core courses that are common subjects that you deal with no matter what the cancer diagnosis is. We have electives that we create with our B2B partners, and we also have our Cancer You Thriver community, and we have bi-monthly coaching calls.
I love it. Love it. That's awesome. So how'd you get to develop kind of, the idea of creating it almost as like a university, like going to college? Was that tough to kind of get rolling at first, or did you kind of have a pretty good idea of what you wanted to do in that sense?
Well, I had a good idea of what I wanted to do, but that doesn't mean it was easy to
Yeah,
execute.
you got to get the ball rolling somehow, but
Yeah, I think when you outsource your development, your software development, as many startups do, you're the client, or you're just one client out of many clients, and you are most likely not a top priority, and it's very frustrating. And so I've been through the development process twice now, once with Cancer U, once actually with my nonprofit, and neither one finished on time. And with Cancer U, we've only developed our MVP. So I almost dread like the next steps. I'm looking
yeah,
forward to it because it's exciting. But I will be even more excited when we have more of it in-house.
for sure. So obviously you're kind of still obviously in the growing stage.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
was it, if I can ask, what was it initially kind of did you kind of self-fund it, or were you able to get
Yeah. So,
for you?
great question. Yeah, we bootstrapped the company from its inception. I had a career coaching business, and I took all the revenue from that business and put it into Cancer U. And then we got a small cash infusion when we joined Startup Health's portfolio about a year ago.
Okay.
And now we are raising a seed round with our investment bank partner out of New York, Castle Placement. And we just started raising a seed round of 2 million.
Okay. All right. Good for you. Good for you. And hopefully that keeps rolling. So I guess obviously with, like you said, you hope to keep kind of advancing and growing. What are kind of the biggest challenges when it comes to growing, from your perspective?
I think the number one challenge is ensuring that our platform stays and remains free for patients and caregivers through our B2B business model. The end users of the platform are the patients and caregivers, but our customers are payers, employer health plans, providers, and pharmaceutical companies. And it's not easy to navigate. The value proposition differs for each customer segment. Depending on the investor, they really understand it or they really don't. And the more educated and active and involved patients are in their healthcare decisions, the more costs go down, especially in serious diseases like cancer. There are fewer ER visits, there are fewer hospital readmissions, and less days in the hospital if the patient is readmitted. But the B2B sales cycle in healthcare takes a very long time. And so we are having to be very creative about ways to earn revenue as we roll out our pilot programs and prove our concept.
If I can ask, well, why does B2B in kind of your space take so much longer traditionally?
In healthcare?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I wish I could answer that,
Yeah.
Charlie. That's a great.
Yeah.
It just does. I'm not really sure. Actually, I will say this. I won't say who told me this, but it was a very interesting perspective. No hospital, again, I didn't say this, but I thought it was interesting. No hospital administrator wants to say yes to a new program because they don't want to ever risk losing their job. Because if a hospital administrator loses their job, they will most likely have to leave the state to find another job of the equivalent. And they're
Yeah,
very, very risk averse. And I thought that was an interesting way of looking at it. So you have to be sure that whatever you are bringing to the table adds an enormous amount of value to that healthcare system, and also brings their costs down.
for sure. Otherwise, it's very, very, very tough when there's no value, and obviously when money's involved, that's very, very, very tough. So I guess
Yeah.
sort of on that topic, at least in kind of my discussions, what I've learned honestly very recently, probably the last month, was that kind of there's been talk about mandated digital health records, in regards to even like HIPAA compliance. Is there like anything that you've had to really kind of pin down in your growth with Cancer University with in regards to that or HIPAA compliance, or I guess can you speak to that question?
So I did my homework and I knew you were going to ask me about EHR. and gosh, for us, some hospitals have said they would like to integrate our software with the patient's EHR, and we're exploring how that would look, and how to make that happen. But personally, just personally, the idea behind electronic health records was good. It was very well intentioned, but it's a total disaster. And I have a perfect example. All my doctors are in the same network. Many of them are located in the same building, and they all have privileges at the same hospitals. But my gynecologist wasn't able to retrieve results of a previous mammogram with a different doctor, um, in the same hospital, same network, but they had different EHR systems. And that makes no sense to me. They're in the same building, one floor apart,
Yep.
and he couldn't get that record. I had to pull it up on my phone. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That's just stupid. So I that problem is not solved. I mean, it is really not solved. HIPAA compliance, yes, that's an issue. Our membership site is actually separate from our public-facing website. So our membership site is where all of our content lives. That's where the courses and the coaching and the community are, because it requires more security and bandwidth. And a big shout out to Sarah Badaman. I don't think I'm saying her last name right, but she has a really incredible company called HIPAA. So I recommend you have
Okay.
her on the show, but also just a big shout out to her for what she's doing. She's helping companies like mine become HIPAA compliant.
I will definitely have to follow up with her. So that would be awesome to have, another guest. So much appreciated. I'll do my homework in respect to that. So appreciate the inside scoop there.
Yeah.
So as kind of we touched on earlier, but healthcare tech advancement, obviously major push, especially with COVID, with that growing and Cancer U growing, in 5-10 years, what do you hope to say that Cancer U has achieved, and do you think technology can kind of help you get there?
I want Cancer U to be ubiquitous. Uh, um, so when you hear the words, you have cancer, the next words out of the doctor's mouth will be, don't worry, our hospital has a partnership with Cancer U. Let's get you enrolled today. I want us to be everywhere. I want it to be a given. Unfortunately, the price of admission is a cancer diagnosis of you or your loved one.
Yeah.
But I just want it to be known. And the greatest analogy I have, and this sounds a little crazy, is I want us to be Jello. When I was a kid, I didn't know Jello was a brand. I thought Jello, everything was Jello. Jello was Jello,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's what I want Cancer U to be. I want it to be a given that when you are diagnosed with cancer, you automatically get a membership to Cancer U. So that's what I want.
Gotcha. I got to say that's amazing. I kind of got goosebumps when you said that, and doctors like, you have cancer, but we can help you. I
That's
think
right.
that's amazing that amazing work they're doing. So
Thank
definitely
you.
props to you for that. So when it comes to healthcare IT, obviously we've touched on that a lot. I've been circling back a ton. With someone that wants to kind of get into your field, where do they start, or big opportunities in your space in the healthcare industry from your perspective and your expertise?
Oh gosh, well, I'm not a prognosticator, so I'm not going to predict the future.
Okay.
But I mean, if you're going to create a healthcare technology company, it is important to have one of the co-founders, or at least the very first hires, be a tech expert, such as a programmer. It's something actually we're struggling with right now, so we're looking for our first hire to be our director of technology. We already have our tech outsourced, and we trust our team, but we do want that person, here on our founding team, to really be our guide with everything. We don't want to just be the client to someone else's company when it comes to the technology. And the other thing I would say is, look where the holes are, because sometimes they're not where you expect. I think a lot of people take things for granted. One of the challenges we see with getting Cancer U out there to everyone is we all assume, right, that we have internet access. But that's not true. In the county where I live, and I live in Birmingham, it's the biggest city in Alabama. I live in the city. I live 5 minutes from downtown. In my county, 22% of the households do not have internet at home. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And, even that right there, that's something that someone can solve for. Like how can every single household in America have internet, and then how can they get 5G or whatever? How can they get to the next
Exactly.
step? But yes, look for those like sort of just diamonds in the rough. Like how can you solve for those problems that maybe nobody is really addressing?
Yeah, no, that's funny. You kind of touched on. I'm taking a little tangent here, but I come from a family of educators. My dad's an
Awesome.
administrator. My stepmom is a Spanish teacher, but obviously with COVID, they're all remote learning in Minnesota, and kind of a smaller town, central Minnesota. Um, yeah, my stepmom, she's a Spanish teacher, and I think she has roughly 100 kids, but like 8 or 9 didn't have access to internet at home, and so she's having a heck of a time. So no, I definitely get that. Find the problem and solve that problem. So
Yeah.
I get it. Love it. Kind of, I'm gonna backtrack here again. When we were touching on kind of digital health records, but has blockchain played a role at all in sharing health records? How is that kind of tied in? I spoke to a gentleman named Mike McCoy. It's probably about a month ago. He works in Philadelphia, and we kind of really the entire chat was about blockchain and connecting kind of like almost my hometown, rural Minnesota, small town, to Minneapolis, or where you're at in, if you're connecting, let's say, Mobile, Alabama to
Right.
Birmingham. How does that work? Or have you seen that in your industry or any?
I've heard about it, for sure. I have not seen it be widely adapted or successful yet. And I
Okay.
am not a blockchain expert, so I cannot speak to that.
Okay.
But if there's one way to go that seems definitely very feasible, but I don't, you have to get the doctor's buy-in for that to start
For
with.
sure.
Um, that's another thing I would say with healthcare technology. If it involves doctors, if they are going to play a role in what you are doing, you have to make sure you get their buy-in, and it's something that they would be on board with. Because if you can get them, then you will probably be successful. And I think there are also just opportunities for AI and machine learning. Whether it's a clinical trial matching tool or health coaching, technology will have a role, but people still want to talk to people. And one of the
Exactly.
first, yeah, right. One of the first things I
Yeah.
noticed with COVID was how isolated people felt. And especially cancer patients still in treatment, they were scared to leave their homes because their immune systems were compromised, but they were terribly lonely. And that issue about feeling so isolated and lonely came up very quickly in a coaching call that we had, and we discussed safety measures that patients could use when visitors came to their homes, and it just helped. And so I just there's something about connecting with other people, and I don't think technology will completely replace that. There is somebody I wanted to make sure I mentioned. Have you ever seen um, the medical futurist, Dr. Burleton Mesco? Have you ever watched any of his stuff?
I have not, no, but I'm guessing per your suggestion, I definitely should.
You should. You should. Well,
Yeah.
he just put out this video. It was I think it was called 10 things that blew his mind, like 10 things that blew
Okay.
his mind about stuff going on in healthcare, changes in healthcare. And some of the things like I already do about, genomic sequencing, at-home lab test, portable ultrasounds. I had heard about those things. Some of the other things I did not know about. 3D printed drugs, digital pills, medical drones. It's
Digital
really cool.
pills.
Digital pills. So you got to check it out. Like
Yeah.
he's
Who
really
is that
cool.
again?
Uh,
Doctor.
Dr. Bert, like BER, like Ernie and Bert
Yep.
Tilland, I think is how you say it, Alan, Mesko, not Musco, Mesko, Mesko. He's really
Awesome.
big on LinkedIn, but he has a YouTube channel too.
Cool. Jot it down just to make sure I don't forget as well. So there we go. 10 things that blew his mind.
Yeah, he's great. I follow him
Awesome.
on LinkedIn, and then sometimes it leads me to his YouTube channel. But yeah, he is really, and if he says it actually interests him, it's usually a pretty big deal. So he doesn't
Yeah.
get excited. He doesn't usually get excited over anything. So
So this is groundbreaking, big news. So
yeah. Well, the 3D printed drug, I was like, what? Like,
yeah, no, that I heard that. I'm like, is it just a 3D, like, let's say you have to take a leave? Is it a 3D printed Aleve with the,
it didn't look
medicine?
special, but there must be a reason they would do that. It must be cheaper or, you know, interesting though.
Yeah, that's wild. We'll definitely look that up ASAP.
Cool.
So,
Cool.
so Andrea, really, that's kind of really the end of my questions. But I will say before we started, you said you had a special gift or something to note
I
towards the end of the call.
see, this is why I told you to remind me.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah, so if any of your listeners or viewers are a newly diagnosed cancer patient or a caregiver of a cancer patient, you never know. I just got a message in my inbox on LinkedIn, a caregiver of a cancer patient. If you go to cancer.university and you click the enroll now button or learn more button, it will take you to our membership website, and we want to offer your listeners and viewers a free lifetime membership. So all they have to do is sign up, and there's going to be a little area that asks if they have a coupon code, and the coupon code is going to be your name, Charlie, all caps, and that's it. And there won't be any fee or anything like that, and they'll have a free lifetime membership. So.
That's, again, amazing and awesome. You're doing incredible work. So, I'm fortunate that, everyone in my life at the moment is healthy during the circumstances, but, knowing that there's people like you, working for, people with cancer and other issues. I mean, it's incredible. So, with that, Andrea, thank you so much for taking, the 15-20 minutes, on the show to kind of give us your insight, talk about Cancer U and how you got there. Kind of any last things you'd like to say for the show? I mean, I think definitely close it out very strong with that special gift. So again, appreciate it a ton.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I will promote my book if you want to read my book about raising and losing my sister to cancer. It's a medical memoir, so it's really steeped in the medical terminology. It's betteroffbald.com. Like bald as in no hair, BALD, betteroffbald.com. And you'll see where all the online retailers are, and you can buy it there. So,
You got it. Awesome. Well, again, Andrea,
thanks.
thank you so much. We'll be in touch hopefully.
All right. Thank you, Charlie.
See ya.